my friends, welcome back. I'm Jolene and this is Sanctuary Gardens. Today we're going to be talking about seed starting. So this is more of an introductory video. I'm actually going to be doing a series of videos on seed starting. So please stay tuned for future videos and I hope that this is helpful. Today we're mostly going to be talking about which plants to plant outside and which ones to plant inside and why you should plant seeds indoors. Seed starting is oftentimes something that scares a lot of people, and the reason is there's so many unknowns to them that they're not sure exactly where to start, or what if I make a mistake and then I lose all of my plants. There's a lot of fear associated with it. So a lot of people end up not starting plants by seed. Instead, they go to, say, a hardware store and pick up plants that they then plant in their garden. If that is your choice, that's totally fine. I have a feeling that this year we're gonna be a little bit short on transplants that you can find in the store. Might be a good year to try to plant by seed. As you can see right here, this is my own little setup that I have with all of my seeds that I started. And some of them are a little bit bigger, some are pretty small yet. And at some point I'll go through my own system. So why would you plant a seed indoors? There's a couple reasons. First of all, let me explain that when the seed is planted in soil or in ground, the life of that plant starts then. In one of my previous videos, I talked about how many days until maturity. And a seed packet will tell you how long a plant will take until it's ready to either pick fruit off of it or pick the plant. Some plants have longer, we call them longer day varieties. Let's say a tomato plant of yours on the seed packet, it says it's going to be 80 to 90 days before you're ready to pick a tomato off of that plant. But your season, your growing season is only 120 days. You have a very short window that plant is going to be producing fruit for you if you plant it after your frost-free date. Let's say I plant a seed May 1st, right after my frost-free date. The life of that plant starts when I put that seed in the ground. And if I have an 80-day tomato seed variety, I'm not going to be getting a tomato until 80 days. Which puts me quite late in my growing season. One way to get around that is by planting your seed indoors 6 to 10 weeks before your frost-free date. So for instance, I have some of these tomato plants that I started a couple weeks ago. The life of that plant has already started, so I'm already about 3 to 4 weeks into the life of that plant. By the time I plant those tomatoes outside, I'm gonna be getting tomatoes a lot sooner than if I had put the seed directly in the ground. Another thing to keep in mind is if you live somewhere south where you have a very long growing season, yes, you probably can plant tomatoes directly in the soil and it'll be just fine. You'll get a lot of tomatoes off that plant. But if you live anywhere northern climate regions, it is very smart to start things ahead of time and then transplant it outside as soon as your last frost is passed. So what plants should be sown directly outside and which ones should be sown indoors ahead of time? Plants usually fall under two different categories. We have the cold hardy plants and then we have the warm tender plants. So how can you tell which is which? As the name suggests, cold hardy plants can tolerate some light frost. They don't mind colder weather. They also can germinate in cooler soil as well. Cold hardy plants are considered true vegetables. The edible part of cold hardy vegetables are usually the root, the stem, the leaf, or the flower. So some examples of these. A root would be beets or carrots. Those are great examples of roots. An example of a stem would be an onion. A lot of people think of an onion as a root vegetable. It's actually not. When you think about it, it's the swollen part of a stem. If you were to look at an onion on the underside, you would see the roots under the onion. So it's actually a stem, and that is a cold hardy vegetable. An example of a flower that we eat is broccoli or cauliflower. Kind of cauliflower is in the name, the flower. And then leaves would be your spinach, your Swiss chard, collards, kales, all of those would fall under leaves. So all of those are examples of cold hardy vegetables where you're eating either the stem, the root, the flower, or the leaf. These things can be sown directly outside. Some of them I do like to start indoors, typically like my broccolis, Brussels sprouts, sometimes my kales I'll plant indoors if I think that there's gonna be really bad inclement weather that they won't handle. But you can technically direct sow them. And in fact, all my lettuces, most of my leafy vegetables, all the carrots and beets, those do best if sown directly outside. Okay, so let's talk about the warm or the tender season. These don't tolerate frost very well. So these plants really like warm weather. They need warm soil to germinate in, and these are called fruiting vegetables. The edible part of these fruiting vegetables, these warm season crops, are the fruit or the seed. Some examples would be your tomatoes, which is the fruit, your squash, which is also fruit, cucumber is fruit. Another example would be your peas and your beans, where you're eating the seed, and corn, which you're also eating the seed. Especially the plants like your peppers, your eggplant, your squashes, your tomatoes. Those are great ones to start indoors. They like hot weather, and they need usually a long time before they'll start producing fruit. And so you want to get that head start on that. So all those are examples of ones that are easy to transplant. The plants that are not easy to transplant tend to create a really long taproot. And so as you're transplanting those, you can tend to damage that root. These things tend to be like your corn, your carrots, your peas, beans, things like that. So those are best if planted directly outside. I hope this is helpful. On my next video, I'm going to be talking about different ways that you can pot plants. I'm also going to talk about 3 different seed pots you can find in your house to plant your seeds in. You don't necessarily need something like this to plant your seeds in. You can find stuff around your house like a red Solo cup. So watch for that video. Please don't be scared to start seeds indoors. This is something that, like I said, a lot of people are scared about. Just try it. And if all else fails, you can go to the store and buy your plants from the store. If you like this video, please subscribe and let me know what other things you'd like to know in the future. So go grow something. Thank you for watching, and God bless.